So almost 2 years ago today, I was in a car accident in Croatia. Ambulanced to a hospital, clothes cut off, glass partially cleaned out of my face, ribs fairly crushed, just cartilage, and concussed severely, but fully aware by the time I got to the hospital. Wheel me into a shared room. Nobody speaks English. My clothes are cut off of me. I don't have blankets. There was one nurse that brought me 4 blankets when I warmed up enough to not shiver anymore. I passed out, came to, not able to process emotions because the body would not get emotional during this state. Only was I able to process emotions of everything that had happened. Death was involved. Other people's lives were involved. Other people were a part of this. A village was concerned. A country was concerned. Families were concerned and involved. Only then, when I was in the village safety, did I start processing emotionally. But as soon as I warmed up and came to after my first pass out, my initial active medicinal inputs were deliberate, focused movements. It was training. Why? Why do I have to play by the rules just like everybody else? This is what I'm trying to get everybody to understand, and part of what the driver is behind this Zoom coming up on the most currency thick from an energetic standpoint in any choice you're going to make tissue called muscle this Friday. Ooh, next set. All right, it's okay. But why movement? To tell my nervous system body it's okay. To check in with myself. To bring the highest amount of information, deliberate, conscious information to all cells and tissues, because you can only get to all cells and tissues through movement. I wanted to address all systems. I wanted to address the entirety of my being. I wanted to address spirit and mind and emotions and mentality, intellect, spirit and physicality and chemistry and vibration, electricity, everything. The only way to access that consciously is through deliberate movement. That's the design, through muscle tissue. That's how we do it. So through this muscle tissue, I was checking in with every single cell, tissue, and organ of my body relative to who I was at that time, relative to a concussed state, relative to rib damage, relative to mourning, relative to being afraid and away from familiarity, being in a non-English speaking, all elements needing to be accounted for. The only thing I have access to that stands as a common denominator is myself. And the closer we can start adding in conscious medicinal inputs, abiding by the rules of human, we can be closest to the most traumatic event or an accident or an opportunity. The closer, the simpler the path is. The longer, just the more long it's going to be, the more delicate. We got to tend to a lot of different areas, but deliberate focused movements were immediately what I brought in. That's why I want to clear away the myths around training is different for a pro athlete or for somebody in a hospital or somebody in hospice or for somebody who's 80 or for somebody who's 12 or for somebody. It doesn't work that way. There's human rules and laws, and then there is your unique application of those rules and laws that come in the form of your poetry. So I chose deliberate focused movement, aka training, from my hands to my feet in 1,000 droves, high volume, to bring myself back to myself as close as I could to an instance that my body now is threatened beyond all threats. And I'm going to have to understand healing moving forward, not only physical tissue, but emotions, and bringing in all these other relationship concerns and who I am as a person, and everything is getting checked. And we don't figure this out in emergencies. Emergencies just show how you've been truly living. This is why I said, do not wait for these moments to then go, what do I believe? What do I stand for? How do I live? I don't really know. When this stuff shows, when you get squeezed, whatever's inside comes out. So that's the get that I'm trying to convey come this Friday. Now, where will we go upon all this? Tons and tons and tons of areas, because my currency for even the survivability of the accident came from muscle tissue. My currency for understanding change to get me to navigate what the next steps are, to even be able to comprehend that, let alone nourish and light and rest and be able to process everything, anything that I would choose to do. Muscle tissue is your currency for the choices you make. Muscle tissue is your currency for the decisions. Muscle tissue is your currency for the action, not amount, but your connection to muscle. So bigger is not going to be more able, and that is very clear, and we're going to break that apart and go in deep this Friday. The Q&As are coming in, the questions are coming in. I'm getting pumped, a lot around things like, is it true, building muscle will deal with bone density? I'm going to break apart all that to free you from that line of whatever people are saying around bone density caused, bone density solved by. Another group of questions that are coming in around protein consumption and muscle building. I want to dissolve the myths around that. Because again, there's so many stories in the fitness, strength and conditioning, medicine, coaching, rehab, therapies of any kind, and all levels of medicine around specifically this tissue that just aren't accurate, leave you imprisoned, leave you confused, leave you chasing the next factor, the next metric, leaving you to spot treat some form. And diet and exercise and muscle is one of the most perverted, misunderstood tissues we have as human beings. And it also is one of the most critical, and it's also the only ones we can consciously control. That's not random. So again, many topics covered. Go check out the posts on it. There's so many bullet points. If we get to them all, we get to them all. It might have to be 2 parts because I'm not doing a 7-hour class. Workshop lasts however long it lasts. If you can't make it, it's this Friday coming up at 2:30 Pacific. If you can't make it, don't worry. Everybody who registers and signs up gets a replay as soon as it's downloaded. If you can't make it, you'll get the replay as well, so don't worry about that. But registering now allows you to get in the questions for the Q&A if you have any. And then you have at least 7 days moving forward to review all of it. Why 7 days? Because I fire hose you to the face with information. That's the point. That's how I do my workshops. I'd rather front load you than parcel it out, that if you get this, we'll go to this, and if you get this, we'll go to this. I don't like that. I like giving it all up front, and then what you do with it, you do with it. You take copious notes, you bring it in, you digest it at your pace. If you need help, you do a follow-up, because that's what I do, one-on-ones. I don't make memes for a living. So this topic, understanding muscle, your body, your symptoms, your injuries, and that intimate connection, is as vital a tissue that I would deem it so important that as soon as I'm wheeled to my fucking hospital room, I tend to it. Why? Why is it that critical? That's what we're going to go over on Friday. That's what I'm trying to get everybody to understand and break apart and allow people to expand off of these truths. Because again, we don't want to, it was even the science post today, like everything is to limits and to defend limits and bring it down and reduce down to these little sectors of the human is not. It's all of that. It's addressing and touching upon everything that we are as human beings. We are emotions, we are beliefs, we are feelings, we are thoughts, we are rest, we are nourishment, we are light, we are vibration, we are chemistry, we are electrical, we are connected to intellect and spirit and mentality and psychology and physical, like all of it. Where's it all going through? The only conscious tissue, all cells, tissues, and organs, but the only tissue we can control out of all those to get to anything else is muscle. Email me, info@TommyJohnIII.com to register or for the details and to get your questions in. It's this Friday, Zoom workshop webinar on the topic, everything muscle and more, tying in everything that we're going to bring in. Looking forward to seeing everybody there who is ready to change.